Hey everyone, thanks for joining in for Shades of Yellow with Wear Yellow Proudly. Today we have Spencer Britten, tenor, dancer, and actor with us today. Hey Spencer.
Hi,
Thanks for joining us.
happy to be here.
Lyndsey Britten, who's a mixed Chinese choreographer and dancer.
Hello.
The first thing I ever did that had to do with performing arts was dancing. So I saw my sister dance when she was like 3, and I was 5, and I was like, I want to do that. Mom and Dad, can boys do that? And they're like, yeah, sure, why not?
Both my brother and I are performers. Neither of our parents are, but they love theater, and that's actually like one of the reasons they met. Is they're like an accountant and a property manager, but have a love for theater. So we used to go all the time.
I started with tap and jazz because that's kind of what I saw my sister doing. So I was like, I want to do that. So I remember like my first performance. So I had this like little like leopard print shirt and black shorts, and it was just like the cheesiest thing ever, but I loved it.
I got into choreographing by forcing all of my little dance friends to learn pieces that I've made, and like that's kind of just how it started. I don't think I always knew that I wanted to do it, but something clearly in me always was attracted to choreography. So like at dance on our breaks, I would be teaching the girls like another combo that I made or things like that.
Ballet, RID Royal Academy of Dance training. I did hip hop, contemporary, tap jazz. I continued on with that, and when I got to grade 12 and getting out of high school, I started working as a commercial style dancer. I don't know the proper, or if there is a proper term for that, but like doing like big productions with like fireworks and like 20th anniversary celebrations at like arenas and stuff, like backup dancing kind of dancing. And that was a huge growing experience for me, and like one of my first performing jobs ever, which was really cool. But yeah, in dance I basically did a little bit of everything.
The most prominent one I remember was watching Cats in Vancouver. As a dancer, again, that one really excited me. I still love the musical, not the new movie. We don't have to talk about that. But the musical itself, like the dance and the movement and the vocabulary is so gorgeous. And it's just a fun show. So that was one of my first experiences, I think.
A couple years later, my first musical was The Music Man. And I was a little boy in the band, and I didn't really play any instruments, so they had me play the triangle.
Yes.
But then there was one day that the boy playing the trumpet got sick, so they asked me to like hop on the trumpet casually. And so they're like, it's really easy, you just think of the note and blow into the trumpet. So then it teach me how to like properly like.
It's as easy as that.
They're like, just put your lips like this, and then think about the note and like sing it into the trumpet. I was like, okay. And like, I'm sure it was terrible, but that was kind of the vibe they were going for. I mean, the only one that sticks out in my memory is in 2003, I did The King and I, and they did an all Asian cast, which was really, really impressive. But outside of that, I really saw very, very little. Even growing up and performing in Vancouver, which is a very, we have a large Asian population, and yeah, there wasn't really a lot of representation.
Yeah, like honestly, I think the first person I ever knew about was Leah Salonga. And that's like kind of all I can recall really. My brother and I, when I was 8 and he was 10, we were in a production of The King and I, which is very exciting. So in that show, we were surrounded by a lot of other Asians from different backgrounds. But again, that's a specific show, specifically needing people with that background. So other than that, I don't really ever remember. It's only been in the last few years where I've really started noticing that there is a lead or a secondary character. But yeah, that's kind of it. Just Leah Salonga.
For me, I grew up loving my Asian heritage. Like elementary school, middle school, I was so fascinated by it. I wanted to learn more. I lived in a house with my maternal grandparents who are Chinese, and so I had a lot of Chinese culture in my upbringing. But there came a point in my life where I started trying to suppress my Asian identity because I had realized that being Asian was hindering my performing opportunities. And like looking back on that, it's so heartbreaking. Like I was super passionate about it. I did project. I made like Buddhist temples out of popsicle sticks for projects and stuff. So I really embraced it. I really loved it. But eventually I realized, oh my gosh, like I'm not getting work and everyone on stage is white. So I need to be more white. And being mixed, I was just like, I have the possibility of being more white. And so it was actually a point where when I was younger, I got offended when people would call me Asian or said I looked Asian. And I would be offended. I'd be like, no, I look white. Like, thank you.
Wow.
Which is like so heartbreaking looking back on that. And like I dyed my hair blonde. I just really wanted to have the all-American boy look because there's so many musicals that really focus on casting that type. So yeah, it was really hard, and I'm so glad that eventually I realized and acknowledged those feelings. I was able to address them and kind of like get in touch with my Asian heritage again and just have a stronger appreciation for it as an adult.
I think, I mean, there has been a lot of othering in my life. Like when I'm with my Asian friends, I'm the white girl. And if I'm with my white friends, I'm the Asian girl. And that kind of thing. And it's not a big issue, but you know, comments happen. I've had people specifically like, you know, working in the restaurant industry, a lot of people betting on what I am, which is
Oh my God. Yeah.
really like customers being like, so are you like Japanese, Chinese? And when I tell them, they're being like, ha, I knew it. And I'm like, nice. So a lot of that, and like a lot of the like stereotypical comments you expect of like people being like, oh, mixed babies are so attractive. Like, I want a mixed baby. I'm like, okay.
It may have been opera that allowed me to be myself a little bit more. Because growing up, there was no opera in my life other than like my parents loved Andrea Bocelli and Andre Rieu and all those like kind of like mainstream crossover artists. And so that was really my only exposure to opera until I did a couple children choruses at Vancouver Opera. I did Turandot and I played Leonce in Macbeth. And it was like super embraced. There was a lot of multiculturalism in the children's chorus. They had people from a bunch of different backgrounds, and that was not something I noticed right away. But I think once I got into school and started studying opera seriously, I realized that people were being cast not purely based on the way they look. There's a lot more to it. Not saying that opera is perfect. We still have a lot of things to do in opera. But it was just less important that I was white in opera. I was able to focus on other things that would project my career forward and keep me working hard, where in musical theater, I kind of really felt at a loss, that I knew that I was doing well, I was producing good product, but I was losing out on roles. And like being biracial, it was really tough. I lost out on roles because I was too white. I lost out on roles that I was too Asian. And that was another like just level of things I had to grapple with, is because for me, I perceive myself as very mixed, and I think that is a perception a lot of other people have as well. Specifically, remember auditioning for A King and I, and they said, you don't look as Asian as everyone else when you stand next to them. And I was like, okay. I was like, I'm still Asian though, like.
That's so, right.
Yeah, so that was a big turning point too, and for me, I feel lucky that I never directly had to deal with that kind of racism in person. With opera, that is. But I know that it's still there, and I know that I've experienced it based on tendencies that they've had in the past. I've just never had to deal with it face to face.
I think I'm very fortunate where it hasn't affected my career too much. As a dancer, like normally the roles I go for are ensemble dance roles, so it's not as big of a race issue, though I mostly have dealt with peers commenting on it, asking me if I think I didn't get a role because I'm Asian, or having one other Chinese girl in the room and people asking me if I'm now nervous because I clearly have competition, as if they didn't see me as competition with the rest of them. So more so moments like that for me. And more recently, people telling me that I'm lucky because being ethnic is in now, so I'll probably have a successful career.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and like
just all of those things compounded on top of each other.
Yeah,
is a lot. Like you said, like it's just small little things, but how many of these things?
And like for me, I'm very lucky. I am so very supported, and I have a lot of, I have self-esteem. I believe in myself. I know that that's not what it is, but for someone who is a bit more unsure of their talents, hearing all of that can easily affect how you are in this world. Just thinking you don't deserve your roles. A lot of imposter syndrome happens. Yeah. So during the pandemic, I really wanted to do something for our community. I wasn't financially in a place where I could donate money or make masks. I can't sew to save my life. So I thought using my own skill set would be the most beneficial. I started a little online workshop series called LVB Workshops. I created these workshops for what we call non-dancers or movers, theater performers who don't have as much background in dance training, or people who have just kind of been thrown into the theater world, so all of their training has been for a specific show and not necessarily the foundation. So what the workshop entails is we go over basic technique, again, things you've maybe been doing the last 10 years but never knew the terminology or what you should be focusing on it. And then how to get through a dance call, how to survive with getting over the nerves or, the judgment from others or even just judgment on yourself. So I was just gonna do like a little 1-month workshop, but it got a lot of attention and a lot of people were interested. So I continued on, and now we do drop-in classes. Again, it's an open level. It's really for people who maybe aren't as comfortable in the dance studio.
That's great. So for anyone watching, what's the best way for them to, get involved and join the workshops?
Probably follow us on Instagram. It's just LVB Workshops. You'll see it has our schedules and everything, and then it'll have my contact info. It's pretty laid back. It's pretty chill. So you just send me an email and we can talk about your experience and like what would work best for you.
So I'm moving to Berlin on Tuesday, which is 3 days from now. And I'm joining the International Opera Studio at Staatsoper Unter den Linden in Berlin.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and they've got me pretty busy. I'm doing 53 performances throughout the season. And I think that's 7 or 8 productions, different productions, and of varying composers. I'm going to get it all, which is nice. But yeah, it's going to be a big hustle. It will get easier. For me, I would have loved to have had more Asian performers that I could have looked up to and like talked to about it. So if there's anyone that's ever struggling, I hope that they do reach out. And because I'm always happy to talk, especially when it comes to performing arts and the life of performing arts, I'm always open to chatting. But I would just say, telling my younger self to persevere and keep going and just know that things are changing. Slowly but surely they're changing, and there's so much support within the community. Yeah, it's kind of tough thinking back on it because I feel like a lot of my, being gay as well, I feel a lot of my childhood has been like a suppressed memory because I wasn't able to be authentically myself. And that comes with being mixed race and going through those experiences and being gay and having to come out of the closet. So yeah, the older I get, the more I reflect back and like, how did I forget about that? How is that not a memory that really impact on me that I'm reflecting on only just now? For anyone that's going through it, just find the people that will lift you up. And I'm very lucky that all along the way I've had a lot of support. So when anything did happen, for me at the time, it didn't feel like as big of a deal because I knew that I had people I could go fall back on and get that support from. Because it's hard. It's really hard. And some people can be really, really nasty and say some really awful things. I'm relatively healthy, but I've had like 4 different people in power comment on my weight during one season. And I was like, it was horrible. And just like people, I don't know if like some people will go out of their way to bring you down for whatever reason. But I would just say like focus on doing your work the best you can. And I think a big thing for me is taking care of your personal life and having those people you can fall back on, because I mean, like music is my life, but I also have a personal life outside of my career. And for me, that's just as important. And having that balance has really saved me from the hardships that come with being judged as a musician, as a performer, for whatever reason, and having my own personal life and going through the trials in my personal life. I have both that I can really go back and forth from, and I think that's super important. I'm also a Libra, so the balance thing is huge for me.
Right now, I'm really trying to suggest everyone focuses on understanding and not taking things personally. Even though it is probably a personal attack, understanding that that's not about you, that is more about the other person and where they're coming from and their own insecurities. No one can take away your talent. No one can take away your hard work. No matter what they say to you, no matter if they say you only got a role because you're a diversity hire or whatever, which things are very much changing right now. A lot of theater companies are putting the work in to stop those comments, to stop those things from happening. But no one can take away the work you've done. And I think that's the biggest thing to remember is you've put in that work. You know you belong here because you do belong here.
Good morning, we talked the whole night through. Good morning to you. Good morning, it's great to stay up late. Good morning to you. When the band began to play, the sun was shining bright. Now the milkman's on his way, it's too late